All right, so there's some great new tools out there for practicing and learning. It's midnight here. I have a morning session tomorrow, 10 a.m. I gotta be ready for it at 9 a.m. So just to give you an idea, that's what I'm up to right now. I'll walk through what that was. Some of you may recognize that pattern. I'm going to talk to you about what that discovery was for me, what the process is today, and how you can implement the same practices at home. So yeah, I'm going to go to the control room. We'll have a chat from in there. All right. So basically, that pattern is the hi-hat's playing eighth notes. So that pattern, what that pattern is tricky. It's new to me. I thought it was one thing, and when I got into Moises, I discovered it was slightly different and much more left of center from my brain. So I'll step you through what it is, kind of piece by piece. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through what that piece was. It was something I'd never really dug deep into to see what the composition of it was, and that's the beauty of these things. They're usually different than what you think, and they make you work a little bit to get there, and that's where I'm at. I do not have it all together, but it's a great exercise to make yourself do something different, you know. So the hi-hat's playing up beats, and then I'll try to show you like. First thing I'll show you is without the hi-hat. It's a little easier for me to play without it. 2, 3, 4. It's got a little extra syncopation in there that's difficult for me, but I'll show you one more time what that is. 1, 2, 3. So I'm not going to break that all the way down. You can see my hands and what it's doing. It's basically. One, 2, 3, 4. And then with the bass drum kicking all that stuff. And then if I had the hi-hat. So basically that. 1, 2, 3. So it's still something that I am getting together. I just took a look at that like 20 minutes ago. And it's a great exercise. And I'm going to try to show you a little piece of it. I don't know if we can use it here on YouTube, so if we can't, I'm going to send you on a link in the description that'll take you to a final version of it on Instagram of what I'm playing to. Basically, I'm going to go through, I've been asked, you know, by some people on here, you know, how I developed as a player. Maybe they're asking the question how they can work on their time. different things like that. And it's not changed so much, in all these years of how we can learn when we're not able to play with other people, which is the most important thing. But we all started, we all start somewhere, and it's not. It's usually, with headphones in a room in our house with a set of drums. So that's how I learned to play. And a key thing, is to when you're playing along with something. The way I did it when I was a kid is I would go so far as to tune the drums to match, the pitches as closely as I could of the instruments inside the track I was playing along to. I would put my headphones on and play, and I would listen at a volume where my drums, if they were close enough, would sort of make the drums in the track disappear. Now that requires a couple of things. You have to be staying in time with the track, but that's the whole point. If you're listening at such, at just the right level, you'll hear when you're separating from the drums or from the track, and that's the real way you can learn about the nuance and groove of things. Now, everybody that knows me knows I listen to a lot of Jeff Porcaro. I listen to a lot of Jim Keltner, John Robinson, Bernard Purdy, Steve Gadd, you name it. Played along to a lot of records, and I really, that is truly how you can develop your sense of time, and picking good references is important. These days, most of the music out there is not worth studying because it's all been quantized and manipulated in the computer to where there's nothing human or even groove oriented about it. There is no groove on a grid. It's the antithesis of it. So I even felt so much. I mean, my take on my time, and this is essentially what this video is about. A way to develop that. I didn't even like when we started playing with click references that were sharper and sharper, because I had a click sound I used for decades that came out of a Roland sound library. It was called Maraca Short, was the sample. And I would use that. It wasn't very long. I would hear some people's click and it would have a very long sh, sh, and that's too much room for interpretation. Mine was more like and I would put a low pass filter on it, which means that the high frequencies are knocked down. And I could play to that to the point where it would disappear, and that was the idea. If you're not hearing it, you're not hearing it move around, and it would only show up if I'm off by a certain amount. So that's how I treated my development of time. And my point is how things have gotten here. If you use a click that's more narrow, I use Cowbell 1 out of Pro Tools generic click preset. So if any of you guys have Pro Tools, a lot of you do at home, check that out. I run a low pass filter on it at 3K. But if you sample that, if you record that and check out the length of it, that's as short as that is, and it's a short sound. It's 12 milliseconds across. So even that has room, where you can be on one side or the other. What I discovered, over the years is basically, if you're talking about transient, percussive kind of things, the front end of a guitar stroke, like acoustic, not electric so much, but sharp transient things, you have to get beyond 5 milliseconds before you start to hear separation, like before you start to hear two distinct transients into a flam. And even that's not, wide enough to be important. But we're just talking about the nature of the way things are done right now, okay? So I feel like when I play to that, because I play to that more now because everybody wants to be into Grid and Pro Tools. Now, anecdotally, side note, I don't do that many sessions. I'm specific about it because I just don't dig doing it that way. I don't like the way it sounds. I don't like, but what it does do, if I'm listening to that and I'm playing, it makes me pull my backbeat forward, because if I'm relaxed and I'm playing normally inside of, let's say, an average BPM 90 beats a minute, my snare drum on 2 and 4 will lay about 10 to 12 milliseconds later than the bass drum is landing on 1 and 3. Now, some of that is because the envelope of sound, now this is getting pretty heavy, but the envelope of sound on a bass drum is slower to kind of develop the full impact than a snare drum is. So you're not always feeling this huge gap. I mean, if I'm playing without a click, I just lay it back as far as I want based on what the groove is, you know. But we're just talking about, you know, a little bit of details here about developing time and what that is. So that's all the technical stuff that pertains to the modern way we record. Now, the thing that I want to put out and bring to you guys' attention, if you're not already aware, is a program called Moises, Moises AI. I don't have the web offhand, the address offhand, but maybe I'll drop it in the description. But it's a subscription-based platform, and what you can do is you can take your favorite piece of music you want to play to, and you can extract it into what they call stems, which is basically the individual instruments inside the recording. It's like a wonderful and terrible thing at the same time. I think there's a part of struggling to figure things out that kind of forges a unique take on things, and if you can get exactly the details down in the early part of your learning, it kind of deprives you of sort of misinterpreting things in a way that gives you your own identity about playing certain parts. Speaks much to this thing that I was playing here, because the part, as I thought I understood it, for years, was not what it was once I actually sat down. I'm going to find something to demonstrate, what this is, and something that I want to practice, and I am going to practice that, and I love what practicing things like that can do, and that's why this tool is great. What Moises will do is it will separate everything, and then you can generate it out. You can export things from the program, and then you can pull them into GarageBand, whatever you have, and you can play along, right? And so you can take the drums out, you can do different things, but the real important thing that you want to do, and this is when people ask me about developing my time and what it takes to work in the recording studio, which isn't the same as it used to be. People fix things left and right. There's guys playing sessions now that couldn't have gotten through the door even 10 years ago, and that's fine. I'm not embittered or anything about that. I don't do that anymore. That's fine. It's just a difference. I still think it's crucially important to figure these things out, because musicians and artists know when something feels good, not just has accurate time, but when it feels good. So this is the ultimate tool for discovery if you're willing to put a hard look at what you're doing, okay? It can be fun to play along with these things. I've always told people that, in my opinion, the key to continuing to develop as a musician and expand and improve is your willingness or your ability to hear with a little bit greater detail than you're able to play, always. So like this part of your listening ability is developing slightly ahead, of your ability to play. If they meet up, I'm not sure what happens. I still hear everything wrong with what I play constantly. And that's a good place to be able to stay at, because it allows you to learn. So when you get into these things, and now you're able, instead of having to play on top of the drums that were there, you can take that out and become the drummer in the track. And then to take it one step farther, if you're at home and you're able to record, the amazing tool that this becomes is a couple of things. First off, if you're listening the right way and you're aspiring to be in the same groove of the person you're listening to, or before you muted them out of the track, record yourself into that. Get yourself in an approximate mix level where the drummer was, and then study yourself against the band, and listen hard. Listen when you're separating from things. Listen, how that feels. Now, some of these things, a lot of the things that I want to play to weren't recorded with a click, so it makes it difficult to be scrutinized to a certain level. But even if you find a good section of the groove, cut that down and loop it, then you've got something, a baseline that you can, work on your time and feel against. And then the other part of that, the second part of that that's fantastic, is what a learning tool if you're a drummer at home recording, any musician, because this doesn't just apply to drums, listen to your tone. Listen to what happens to the track when you're in and when you're out. And maybe some of the records are going to be older and the tones aren't so much up to, kind of the modern standards, if you will, or just the stylistic way that we're tuning and doing things differently. But still, the shape of what you put inside that track, you should be able to find yourself able to sit inside that track. That's the goal, Even if you change it, you don't have to play the same part, but explore that, and if you're working on your time, you're going to want to be able to fit yourself into that groove. One example, I'll throw this link down here too. If you missed it, I did a track, I did a little piece where I played this 65 Ludwig kit, and I played into a Beatles tune, right? And that was a real discovery for me too, a discovery, to play inside that track. I only did it a couple times because the point for me wasn't to try to go to school on the thing. It was to make an illustration for you guys. So, the space inside the track and trying to touch all three voices in the track at the same time. I mean, that's essentially what time is about. And that track, man, felt really good to play inside. And that's because Ringo played it. And, I feel like he is, as legendary as he is, he still isn't credited for what a deep, incredible pocket he has. So when I did that, man, sitting in that pocket, it felt like it was a mile wide, what was available to me. And it all was so musical and intuitive in the big space there, where Paul's bass landed and the Wurlitzer and everything that was going on. Man, wow, that band was so good, okay? So those are the things that you can discover with this practice tool. So again, it's Moises AI, and what you'll need to do, the way I do it is I go to Amazon and I download the MP3, and then I can drag the MP3 into Moises, and then I can extract from there, and it is a fantastic learning tool. And in another video, I'm going to get into some details of sort of the creative possibilities that it also brings with the other tools that are out there. So I hope you guys dug this video. I hope it was informative. I hope you take away from this something that can empower you and help you in your own practice. And I'll see you guys on the next video. And once again, I have my Gumroad video, instructional video. If you haven't checked that out, the link will be in this description. It's a deep dive. I cut a track where you're going to be in the studio with me. You see it go down live. First time I've ever heard a song before. I make a chart. I do all the usual things I do when I work. You'll see me go through a few passes, make revisions. But what I do through the whole process is I break it down very specifically. I stop and really go into detail as to why I'm making the choices. So I think it's a real informative, good look at the way I work, and I think it can be a learning tool for you guys out there, and not just pertaining to drums. So if you're interested, check that out. It's in the description of this video. All right, take care. I'll see you in the next time.